Matthew, what really stood out to me, man, from watching your highlight video, just being a former quarterback, offensive coordinator and everything, was just your quick release and just having the touch of when you needed to have it and having the quick release with the zip on it when you need to have that as well. And not just whether you're rolling out, quick game, drop back, everything was just smooth with that release, and that's what really stood out to me. Now, my suggestions for your highlight video are the following, okay? Your information slide at the very beginning, okay? We've got some good information on there, but we need to add some more and take some off, okay? Now, the best way to go about doing this, all right, is to go on Canva, okay? And this is free. You'll go on there and you'll put the information of your name, school, graduation year, position, height and weight, X account, email, and phone number. Okay, you'll put that information on the left, put a picture of you on the right, download that, and then upload that to the very first thing on your video. Okay, I know you've got the information of your name, school, position, height, weight, your X account. So just add that other stuff on there, and then take off the stuff like with your the speed stuff, with the times and your weights and stuff like that. Just make it one slide. All right, and that's really what we're looking for. Okay, and the reason we want to do that is so the coach can have all your information as soon as he pops your film on. Okay, everything's easily accessible. The college coach's time is so short and valuable that if they have to go find your information, and I personally have had to do this, they'll probably pass on you, okay? Just because they don't have the time to go and try to find all that information, all right? And so having that all on there makes that more accessible to them and less hindrance for you, all right? So that would be the big thing. Next, all right, removing play/non-highlights, okay? And this kind of goes in with some other things of we want to remove all freshman year clips, okay? College coaches just want the most current year. Okay, they're not going to go off anything off the previous year. Like if you say you're 2028, so you should have sophomore film and you first pop up your freshman, I could see coaches just turning it off. Okay, and we don't want to do that. All right, so take off all those, and then also let some of the plays go longer. Okay, let them finish. So they can see if something was a touchdown, not a touchdown. Okay, let it start a little bit before the pre-snap. Okay, just it kind of gives it more of a game flow instead of just everything being so bang, 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 bang that they don't really get a true evaluation, just a game film flow with it a little bit. Okay, but going back to some of these removals, also with the other stuff on it, all right, this stuff is more anything that doesn't showcase your strength, okay, or transfer the next level as much. All right, we want to help take some plays out that are going to help move the needle for you. Okay, say you're a 10 on a coach's board. All right, we take some of these plays out, have some more plays that pop. Okay, and not that the plays that we've got on here are bad plays. Okay, but maybe we can help move you up on that coach's board to a 5 or 3 or higher. Okay, so the first one I kind of want to go over is at the 413 mark here, okay? And like I said, not a bad play whatsoever, okay? It's just being a 5-yard out, okay? And see how that was so quick? We want to let it keep going, okay? Being a 5-yard out, all right? Like I said, it's a simple play, but you got other plays on here that can kind of keep attention, and that's what we want to do with this coach, all right? Because on these films, and you're going to have to narrow some of this other stuff down. Like I've got some that there was a drop on the throwback, there was some out of bounds, a hitch, one from a scrimmage, okay, being the holder, and then one that's a double flip, all right? Those are ones just to kind of give you examples of what we definitely need to take out, but you need to take out some other ones because your sophomore year film, okay, with that whole time, we're about 7 minutes or so, and we need to be between 3 to 4 to max of 5 minutes, okay? So you're going to have to shrink that down, but that's kind of where I'm getting things to get, took some out, but you need to go through others because I know you had other hitches, other outs and stuff like that on there to where we're just showing more other things, and I'll kind of get to that here in a second, okay? Now, next we need to remove captions, okay? And so like the sophomore 2025 JV portion down here on the bottom, we need to take that off all the clips, okay? But we just don't want it, especially be it saying JV, okay? We don't want, it's not that it's a hindrance on that, but the coaches don't necessarily need to know that it is JV because I've seen coaches when it says JV, they skip on it, okay? So we don't want that to happen to you, okay? And then at the 544 mark, there just to make sure it's cleaned up a little bit because it's not a bad play. It's one you could use. There was just a text that popped up at the top of the screen. And the reason we want to remove these captions in that is because we don't want anything that's going to distract that college recruiter from evaluating your film. Okay. Just like you get in a zone when you're playing in a game. Okay. And that's how they watch this film. They watch it 60 to 100 kids in a day. And sometimes when things come up as a distraction, it kind of deviates from how they were evaluating. We don't want them to deviate from how they're evaluating you compared to somebody else. Okay. So make sure we remove that stuff. All right. And that will kind of help clean things up. Now, going to how we want the film to flow, not necessarily a game-by-game film, okay? We want to break this down into sections, okay? We're going to go your long TDs and then your short TDs, your explosives, so anything 15 to 20 plus yards. Those short TDs are basically your 25 and in. And then your movement's kind of something where you stepped up in the pocket or had to run or something like that, and it's not necessarily 15 yards. But then also then your remaining offensive highlights, okay? That's not necessarily an explosion play, but still a good play that showcases what you can do, okay? Now, like I talked about, putting our best plays first, okay? Because we want to keep capture that coach's attention early to keep him watching, and that's why we want to put our long TDs first, and short TDs, because they like 6 points. All right. Now, within each section, okay, you need to have anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5, 6. You can go a little bit more in your clips depending on your time and stuff like that, and depending on maybe not some sections may not have as many as others. All right, but what I've done on here is I've put the best clip I believe that you should start out each section with. Okay, now in your long TDs, I put how I think you should do your first 3 clips. All right, you had some good ones on here, and I kept going back and forth, but this is kind of what I came up with. So we'll take a look at these really quick. All right, so at the 13:22 mark, okay, one of your last ones, but I think it's a good one. Okay, rolling out, even though it's a slight rollout, that's perfectly fine. Boom, great ball. All right, okay, it's a great ball there, slight rollout, even though you're moving, touchdowns try go over everything. Okay, great ball there, great touch, like we talked about. Okay, then going to your short TD, going to the 4:10 mark. All right, one of your first clips the sophomore year you've got on here, boom, driving it in. Okay, right over the backer. Okay, just throwing that thing in there. That's a good one to go with. Okay, and then at the 7:52 mark, all right, you're explosive. Okay, this is what we're kind of showing off that arm strength. Boom. All right, great touch. Okay, receiver's able to keep his feet. That's a touchdown. Okay, but it shows you having that arm strength. That's what they're looking for. The big plays down the field. Okay, and then going back up to the 5:39 mark. All right here, just showing the movements, kind of what we're talking about. Okay, being able to scramble. This is the one right here, right, with that text popping up. So just take that off. Boom, being able to still find somebody. Okay, or still get a 10, 8-yard gain, but still showing you stepping up, nothing's there, being able to extend the play and make something happen. Okay, that's a huge difference maker with what some of these coaches are looking for. All right, and then a remaining offensive highlight is at the 4:16 mark. What I would start out with. Okay, and this here, all right, like I said, boom. We're not a 5-yard out, but we're more a 10-yard out to where you're having to show throwing opposite, on time, stuff like that. Okay, that's the things they're kind of looking for. Digs over the middle. Okay, just things like that. Maybe a quick RPO. Yeah, it might be an out route, but it's showing your quickness, showing that specifics for you and stuff like that. Okay, so sometimes you just don't have as many in that side of it. All right, now change up that information slide. Remove those plays that we talked about. Get that thing within that time limit. Okay, remove those captions on there. Okay, remember, also remove your freshman year highlights. All right, just you want your most current. Change up the sequence, and on the sequence within these sections, you want everything to be pass first and then runs. All right, on that stuff, how you do things with your touchdowns and explosives and movements and everything else. And overall, just provide a more dynamic highlight video for college coaches. Now, after going over the game film feedback, let's take a look at what divisions you should target. I'm basing this off the most recent highlight video, which is exactly what college coaches are going to do, and where the athlete can receive a scholarship right now. I want you to understand that this is a current evaluation opposed to a projected evaluation. Okay, this is based on a few criteria. First thing is your graduation year. You've got a couple years, but use this to your advantage. Okay, you know what you need to do, what we're getting ready to go into to your junior year, what coaches are looking for, what to improve upon, how to set up for film and communication, and that's really going to give you a head start there. Okay, but then they're also going to look at your size, mobility, accuracy, and arm strength. And with that being said, the levels you should look at today for a scholarship are upper D3, and then the NAI levels, upper levels as well. Okay, now you may start getting interest from these college coaches. You may not, just due to the graduation year. Okay, but if not, that doesn't mean you can't start the communication process with these coaches and emailing them right now. Okay, go ahead and start doing that. Start getting on their radar. Okay, you need make sure you're marketing and branding yourself in the correct way also. But then you also need to make sure you start getting your name out there through social media, following these coaches on X, DMing these coaches, okay? Because also with DMing them, send them your updated highlight film, right? Because you want to know whether or not these coaches like your film, right? And that's going to make a big decision on what camps you want to go to this year. Because if a coach likes your film, let's go to his camp, all right? If you send it to a coach and he doesn't give you the time of day, all right, I wouldn't go to that camp, use your money towards another camp, okay, just to get more and more exposure with these guys, or a quarterback camp or something like that, because that way, excuse me, that way you can start building that relationship. If the coach likes you, he wants to build a relationship with you. Okay, and that way when you go to these camps, you can introduce yourself. They can see you personally throw. They can remember seeing that stuff of when you throw the post route or the touch ball and the outside fade ball. Okay, then they're going to see that translate to the game film. They're going to remember who they're watching because of the relationship you guys have started building. All right, but here's the deal: how can we also attack these levels to get better? All right. My suggestion to improve your game that translates to college football and classified higher division are the following. First thing is accuracy. Work on catch and throw drills. That's going to help simulate throwing bubbles, fast range, and quick game. Drop drills, starting from the ground up. Because if the feet are right, everything else has got a good chance. Mechanic drills. Aim small, miss small. College football, those windows get smaller as the defenders get faster. And work on film study. Learn to lead the receivers open at all three levels based on knowing where the windows are going to be at from your coverage by the concept you guys are running. Okay, arm strength. It's going to come through your core and your leg strength, which is going to help create more throwing velocity. Okay, squat exercises that deal with explosives is going to be good for that with that power. Okay, because you got to have more zip on that ball to account for those faster players. Footwork drills, shuffle and weave between your over bags, figure it with cones, gap pressure simulation. Have a good base when you're doing these drills, all right? Because mobility and pocket awareness is going to help translate to the college football because that's what coaches are looking for, being able to extend plays, all right? Ball security, keeping that thing high and tight. Okay, you can practice this while you're doing footwork drills or sprints, because if you can't protect the football, your chance of playing is going to go down. All right. Lastly, flexibility, pre and post training stretching. If you guys don't do this as a team, you've got to do this on your own. That's part of that individual work. Okay, that's going to help prevent injury, and your best ability is your availability. All right, so you've got to make sure you're taking care of your body. Okay, if you're dinged up and nicked up over these next couple of years, that's going to hurt your chance of video, which will then hurt your chance of an offer. All right, if you're dinged up and nicked up in college, that's going to hurt your chance on the depth chart. So you've got to make sure you're taking care of your body, especially your arm. Okay, especially your arm. But these improvements are what a quarterback college coach will look at. So double down, do all these things, hit it hard. All right, truly hit it hard. And if it translates to your video, this can help you level up your evaluation and possibly have an opportunity once we get some more varsity film on there for the D2 level. But Matthew, at the end of the day, man, everything's really going to come down to your individual work, your outreach, as well as your marketing on social media, and your relationship building with those college coaches, which is why the next step is your athlete interview, where you're going to get an interview with the coach, get coached on communication and interviewing skills, which is critical for the conversations about to start having with college coaches. So make sure you watch the video beforehand to be ready to go. If you have any questions, we'll be able to answer them at the end of the interview. Thank you.